it's Kim from Fleece and Harmony, and this is episode 140 of the Fleece and Harmony Knitting and Crochet podcast. That's pretty impressive.
It's
140.
I know.
It's a lot. Yeah, it's a lot of miles on the
the camera.
It's February 2nd if you're 2024, if you're watching this on the day that it's published. And where are we recording?
In our yarn shop, in the mill. I'm panicking.
In Belfast, Rhode Island.
Yeah, we're recording in our Fleece and Harmony yarn shop that's in our woolen mill, that's on our sheep farm in Belfast, Prince Edward Island. Okay,
there we go.
Great.
Yes.
Everybody knows where we are. And the first thing that we always, we have a really packed episode.
Yeah.
So this time, usually we're kind of like conversational and we have the agenda in front of us, but we don't really look at it. But I've told everybody today, we have to look at the agenda because we're going to miss something and there's a lot to talk about.
So if we look like we're staring you intently in the eyes,
yes,
we're reading the agenda.
yes, just to make sure that we don't forget anything. So as always, the first thing we're going to do is talk about what's happening on the farm, which is actually more or less turned into a weather report. So to spice that up a little bit, I've been taking pictures almost every morning as I do the chores.
Ooh,
so there's
fun.
Different scenes that I'll just insert in here every now and then.
Nice.
So we talked about last time about the fact that February 25th was a big date in infamy on Prince Edward Island. January 25th.
Yeah.
So, and we said it's not going to happen this year. So it refers back to a snowstorm or a snow season in 2015 that I've never seen anything like before.
We lovingly called it Snowmageddon.
Yes.
Oh,
Snowmageddon. Yes. And I showed videos of that in the last episode. So Betsy's been always making jokes about, it's almost the 25th. It's almost the 25th. And what happened on the 25th? It snowed.
We did get some winter. Not the whatever crazy feet, but winter blew in.
Yes.
Yeah, for real. So, and then Simone informed me that we're just getting started. She said February is traditionally the coldest month and March comes with storms. And I was like, what? I assume January is the coldest month. If you get through January, I figure you're good. You might have a few storms in February, but folks, I've moved and the weather is not the same.
It's actually shifts. It really is a shift because I think almost everywhere else in Canada, other than the East Coast, is that would be true.
Okay,
January and then by April, you're starting. It's like spring.
Yeah, and
here, as we know, spring doesn't come in April. Barely peeks out of the crevices in May, and then there's January.
Yes, and that one has proven true.
Yes,
we've talked about January the last couple of years because you mentioned that on the podcast. So I watched it in Ontario.
Well, you were warned then.
Yeah, I was warned. Yeah, and then I got here and it's real. It's very real.
It's really, really real.
Yeah.
And it's not that June is not nice.
No.
It's just that if you think you're going to get your bikini on and go to Greenwich Park or to go to the beach, you're not doing that in June. So it can be lovely. The
Some people do.
Lovely, but it's cold.
Some people do.
Yeah, cold plungers will still be happy in June here.
Yeah.
But October
is beautiful.
Yeah. Probably one of the best months.
Yeah.
And September, you can still have beach days. Yeah. And November is just a little bit rainy usually, but it's still pretty mild.
And I don't know if this is for sure or not, but chatting with my mom, I think I've noticed a pattern that weather seems to come across Canada from west to east, because she'll get weather in Ontario and then 2 days later we'll get that weather.
Yeah, so, it drops off in Nova Scotia first, and then it comes over here.
Yeah. And Maine is usually a good predictor too.
What's coming this way?
Yeah,
okay.
It's coming
because it just kind of comes up the eastern seaboard.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The things you learn.
Yeah, exactly. So by now you've seen a couple pictures of what we're doing with the horses with their blankets on. So actually our horses live outside. Nobody comment in the comments because they're absolutely fine. Yes. They have free choice hay, and when the weather is changeable, we do keep blankets on. And there's a big controversies in the horse world about whether you should blanket or not blanket. But I I tried to be not too soft, but I think I wouldn't want to be standing out there. And because it changes terrain a lot here as well, then I leave the blankets on. And they have, it's funny because they have all their little places if you go walk in the field, you can find out where, if the wind is blowing in this direction, they stand there. If the wind is blowing in another direction, they have another little, because we have the hedgerows.
Pit stops.
Yeah, so they have access
that
to the
choice.
hedgerows. Yeah, exactly. So you'll see some pictures of them with their blankets on. And the sheep eating and whatever.
The sheep look rather cozy. They don't look like they're under any hardship out there.
No, they're not. And by the size of them, they're definitely not.
Yeah.
And the hay is good this year too.
Yes.
So it's really everybody's healthy and fat. Okay, so that's the farm update and the introduction really. And the very first thing we're going to do is we're going to show the second installment of the Fleece and Harmony blanket, which Betsy and Simone are working on. Yeah. So before they show February's block, I'm going to just remind people of January. So, upside down. I can tell by your floats because it almost looks the same in reverse. People are starting to show
That's
this.
true.
Yes.
I have to show that, people. Look at that.
Yes.
Isn't that beautiful?
We've seen some posts on Ravelry of people that are showing off their floats. So have at it. We love it. We love looking. And Betsy's is absolutely it's reversible.
No.
Yeah, absolutely perfect.
Yeah. So it was the Bossy Blue Jay.
Bossy Blue Jay.
Yes. They are bossy.
Yep.
Yep.
And tail end of winter.
And
more like should have been like the tip of the nose of winter or something.
Yes, exactly. But Betsy did call it the tail end of winter. So those blocks, and just to let people know if you haven't seen the blanket yet, the blanket is a mystery blanket. There will be 2 blocks presented on the first episode of every month for the year, for 2024. We'll use 6 different color combinations in the blanket, 12 colors altogether. We'll go through the first 6 in a particular order for the first 6 months, and then that order repeats again on the back 6 months of the year. And if you want to order all of your yarn or your yarn more than 1 month at a time, the colors are all listed on the website. There's a link below, and you can just Google Fleece and Harmony blanket and it comes up on the website anyway. And in that collection, you have the colors in the order that we'll use them, 2 by 2, and the blocks are the mystery. Yeah. Okay. So everybody's saying, just show February's block.
I also realized I didn't tuck my ends in. Weave my ends in. That's unusual for me on that.
Naughty
I
knitter.
I know. I have it for February, but I didn't there.
Yeah.
Oh well.
Okay.
Take me 5 seconds.
All right. So the first thing I think we should talk about a little bit of housekeeping about the pattern. So the pattern, there's a little bit. Okay. So first of all, the cast on doesn't matter what method you use for casting on, because the cast on will be in the seam when you sew your blanket together. So don't worry about the cast on. Simone's charts. What is it? What was
they
the
both
question?
start
About?
on
both
knit
the same
rows.
Yeah.
So
Knit rows,
you cast on using whatever cast on method is comfortable for you. It doesn't matter what it looks like as long as it's a good sturdy cast on.
Right.
You don't want anything too stretchy because that's kind of you know, play a little havoc with piecing the blocks together at the end. But just cast on whichever method is comfortable for you. And then the very first row is knit. So that is, you cast on,
Turn your work.
then knit the first row of the chart.
Yeah.
So cast on and then immediately start knitting. We've had
For both.
some confusion, and this is the way Betsy and I are doing it because the little edge really doesn't matter.
Yeah. So for me, I do a long tail cast on, and I always like the kind of ropey edge. So with a long tail cast on, you have a ropey edge, which I consider the right side. And then you have an edge that's more like bumps on the back side. So I always make the cable-y side the right side.
Interesting.
So when I start a sweater, for example, and it depends on if you count the cast on as your first row or your second row. I usually count it as my first row. So if I'm knitting a sweater flat, I do my cast on, I turn, and then I actually purl the first row because for stockinette, because I want the cast on to be the right side row.
I did not even ever consider that there was a right side or a wrong side to a cast on.
I have, but I do like the opposite, so that I still get the little loosey bit.
Yeah, and you do a reverse of the tip.
So it just depends upon the project. I will either do long tail or I'll do my funny little reverse one.
Right. The traditional long tail or backwards long tail. Not backwards, but reverse.
Yeah. Right. And I went ahead and adopted, the cable cast on.
Right. So actually, Patty Lyons does have a tutorial on how to do the reverse long tail cast on. But I looked at it and I would have to really like sit and try to, because you get kind of, I've done them so many times now that it's a rhythm and it's really hard for me to change. Yeah. So I just purl on the first row with going back, and that's how. So all of this to say is that the charts are not wrong.
No.
The instructions are not wrong.
No.
That it's always the right side row when you start the chart.
And this month's pattern installment, I've also clarified in the pattern notes that the odd rows are knit rows and the even rows are purl rows, and you just need to have a little look at the pattern to make sure that you're oriented properly.
Right. And then I will say my usual thing when knitters come into the shop and they're terrified is just do it.
Yeah.
And I mean, worst case scenario, you make a mistake and you might have to tank back a little bit or pull it out because, and yarn is actually pretty forgiving.
Yeah. And keep in mind that you can't see the edge. Yeah. When it's all said and done, you're not going to be able to see the edge anyway. So really the cast on doesn't matter.
And you'll know quite quickly whether you're doing it right or not because you're starting into the chart immediately.
Right. Yeah.
So if the chart is what you're seeing on your knitting is not making any sense, then you might want to rethink what you've done.
Yeah, exactly. So now everybody's screaming, just show the blocks. Just show the blocks.
Jeez,
okay.
Right.
So do you want to do the all over one first?
Sure. So this one here is Scattered Berries.
Mm-hmm.
It is out of the mulberry and the lilac. Mulberry jam and lilac.
Right.
So the darker is the mulberry jam. I'm walking Kim's face.
That's okay.
And the berries are the lilac.
Okay, so now
that's the all over, which goes with,
and those are Rowan berries.
Rowan berries.
Yes, because Simone's motif is Rowan berries, which are very common around here.
They are. Yeah. Actually, if you look out the window here in the shop, you can see a rowan tree just across the field.
Right.
And this time of year, everything is a little gray and white, depending upon whether we're getting a lot of snow. So we decided to include something with a little pop of color because rowan berries are pretty much the only thing with a little pop of color. And
dogwood branches maybe that are growing up in the ditches are red burgundy, and which was actually the inspiration for cranberry scones.
Yes, dogwood in the ditch.
Yeah. Dogwood in the ditch. Yeah, so that didn't sound very romantic. So Betsy happened to bring cranberry scones that day, and I said, perfect. Anyway, so rowan berries, and rowan berries are not this color, they're kind of orangey.
Yes,
but
we're playing fast and loose with the colors.
Yeah.
So
I played with so many rowan berries as a child. They went into all of my witch's brew.
Yeah.
And
your witch's brew.
Oh yes, when you're a kid, didn't you ever make witch's brew? You just threw in a bit of this and a bit of that,
and did what with it?
Stirred it up,
mash it up. I don't know, make a mess.
Yeah.
Oh,
then it had magical powers.
You don't eat it. No. Okay. All right.
I was at least taught that.
I made mud pies.
We did those too.
Yes.
We did those too. I remember my sister making them and trying to sell them.
Oh.
But once they had fully dried, you just ended up with it. Or just the dirt. It kind of just crumbled back to dirt. It wasn't enough clay. Anyway, so I didn't actually know I was playing with rowan berries until Simone started talking about doing a rowan berry. And I was like, I don't know what that is. I don't think I've ever seen that.
So rowan berry is the common term, or mountain ash, right?
Yeah.
It's the same. That's another, it's the same. Mountain ash is the same term.
Yeah. And that's the wonderful thing about a lot of the, wildflowers and shrubs and stuff like that is they have multiple names.
Yes.
Yeah.
But the rowan tree is actually, there's significance to that, I think, in Celtic tradition and things like that. Do you know anything about that?
Not a whole lot. I know that the rowan tree and actually the hawthorn are both kind of important trees.
Yeah.
So it has something to do with, them being fairy trees.
Yeah. So interestingly, in the corner of the pasture that the horses are in, there is a rowan berry tree and a hawthorn tree that are kind of mixed together.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, they like actually
they grow. They're growing so close together that their branches are kind of combined. Huh. The only thing is that sometimes I don't think like the birds eat the rowan berries and
they eat the hawthorn berries too.
Yeah.
I was going to ask, do the horses and sheep, or do they leave them alone?
Well, it seems to me that the horses may eat them, but I don't think they're poisonous. I'll have to look to see if they're poisonous. Anyway, they're fine. They've been living there for a long time, but I do see them on the ground from time to time. But I'm not sure if it's from the horses or the birds.
Yeah.
And but the hawthorn is a little bit of a nasty thing because it's got huge thorns on it,
like that.
So they won't. Yeah, long needles.
Yeah.
Like that.
They'll go through your rubber boot if you step on them.
Oh, is that right?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
I know that from personal experience.
Anyway, yeah, that's the block. So the Rowan is pretty significant here. They're everywhere. They grow like weeds in the hedgerow. Yep. And they have beautiful white flowers on them in spring. So it's one of the first like flowering things that comes out in spring too. And then you have these berries.
Orange berries later.
Yeah. So, yeah. So that's so again, you can just visit we'll put up as of today, the pattern is in the folder in the web store, so you can get the download for free, and the yarn list is there, like I said. So we're really excited.
We've also created a project page on Ravelry.
Right.
So if you decide to knit it, you can link your project up through our project page, and we can quickly check and see how everybody is progressing.
Yeah. And because we've had a couple people write us about how did they get their picture on Ravelry for free, is you have to create a project in your own library. Mm-hmm. And when you post your picture in your own project, then you can link it to the project page.
Yeah.
Oh, if you don't post it in your own project first, they'll ask you have to pay or something.
You either have to pay or you have to link it through another website. So I think if you had posted on Instagram, say, you can get the URL for that picture, you can link it, but I'm not sure because it's not something that I do myself.
Yeah, the easiest way is to create it in your own library in Ravelry, and then that picture is available for you to post on our group page. So.
And we also have a thread in our Ravelry group as well, all about the blanket, and people are already sharing projects and discussing. So that's really great. We love seeing people jump in there.
Yeah, and everybody's showing their backside, their floats, and so
backside.
Great. Yeah.
Nobody is showing their backside.
Yeah.
The floats.
The floats. So
it's not that kind of page, Kim.
Right. Okay. So that's it for the blanket.
Yeah.
So the next thing we have to talk about is Marie Wallin. We forgot about poor Marie Wallin. 2 weeks in a row, and Simone's even knitting her. So, but now we're starting to panic a little bit.
Yeah.
Because how many days are left? 27.
Yes. And we actually got an extra day because it's a leap year.
Yeah, so that's counted in my 27.
Yeah.
It's February 29th at 5 o'clock Atlantic time.
That's right.
It's all over.
Yeah.
Okay. And we will be randomly choosing the winners of the different prizes that we had that we'll talk about in a second.
Yep.
But do you want to just go over the
So the Marie Wallin Make Along is open to both knit and crochet projects, any type of yarn. And all you need to do is create the project and post a project in our finished project thread, which is a no chat thread. So you can put your photo in there, any pertinent details that you feel like sharing, and everybody else is welcome to go in there and hit the interesting and love buttons to show support for fellow crafters.
We're going to consider interesting as a positive thing.
Oh, yes. Yeah. I consider it interesting as positive because it's like, I never thought of that. Let's hit interesting and love.
It's all about loving everybody's project.
Yeah, exactly. And we have today almost 60 finished projects in the thread. So people are knitting away, and I've seen a couple sweaters go in there, which is really exciting.
And we've had some people that have tried their first Marie Wallin pattern too, so that's great.
We love seeing all of these. And we also have another thread which is very active as well, and that's the Marie Wallin discussion thread. So people are posting pictures of their progress. If they run into any issues and they want to see if anybody else is having the same problem, they share that there. And they also help answer questions, which is really wonderful because we don't always have the opportunity to answer very quickly, like right on the button. But we love that everybody's chipping in and helping out and supporting each other. It's great.
Yeah.
If I want to put in a completed project, I can submit a doily. That's how far my flowers got.
Oh, okay.
I'm doing the lovely shawl, which is a crochet project, and I need to make 78 of the same rosettes.
Right.
And I managed to get to 11.
Oh, okay.
So maybe if I put them all together, they could be a doily. No, I actually have a plan of what I'm going to do. But
Betsy, no.
No, not that. I'm not going to do that for our project.
You can't win anyway.
I was going to say, can't win the prize anyway. But I do have a plan, but I'll share that later, how I'm going to work with it.
Okay, great. You're going to finish it, though, as a shawl, right?
I am going to finish it as a shawl.
Yes.
But I think I'm moving towards a hybrid.
You're going to Betsy-ize it.
I'm
Totally going to Betsy-ize it.
Okay, so the important date is February 29th at 5 p.m. Atlantic Standard Time.
Yep.
Get your projects in the finished projects stream in Ravelry. That's where we're going to randomly choose.
Yep.
And the prizes. Okay, we're going to show. So
today.
there's 4 prizes. So basically what's going to happen is that the name that we draw first will get the choice between the 4 prizes of what one they want. The second person will get the second choice of what's left, and so on down to the 4th one.
Yep.
But there's no fourth place. There's no losers. They're all great prizes. So go ahead, Betsy.
So we've got for 2 of them. One is a selection of 9 of the Diva's Desire yarn that we have. And it's kind of we've got sort of a cool and a warm selection. So this here is the cooler selection. And then we have the warmer selection.
Yeah.
And
there's 9 skeins.
There's 9 skeins in each one. And like, I think I would love this.
Yeah.
I'm just look at it and go, oh my goodness, the possibilities here. So lots of fun there.
Yeah. Yeah. And we can alternate. So they're packed in a box.
Yes.
And it's like a little gift set or whatever. But so you'll just choose one or the other and this is Diva's Desire that we actually made kind of specifically to do those muted colors for color work, which Marie Wallin is absolutely famous for.
Yeah.
So that's 2 of the prizes.
Yes.
The 3rd prize that we have available is a Marie Wallin book of your choice.
Yeah.
So, and I think we have all of them.
I was going to say, we didn't try to hold up all 2,000.
No, yeah.
20 of them or whatever there is.
So I think we have all of them in stock.
All of her books, yeah.
Anyway, you get to choose from what we have in stock.
Yep.
Okay.
And then the last prize is some hand spun yarn.
Yep.
And it's spun by me.
Yes.
So all sorts of goodies.
Yes. Oh, I didn't know you had your own little label like that.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
That
She's
way.
like full-on professional.
Yeah.
So it's hand spun alpaca, merino, camel, and silk. So it's a really fun blend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So I think we got everything there.
Yep.
So the other thing that I keep forgetting to talk about is the PEI Fibre Festival is happening in 2024. And the dates are October 3rd to the 5th. And they are going to start to announce some of the vendors and instructors that have been chosen. And the announcements are going to start on Instagram and Facebook and the newsletter. I think they're kind of tossing sometime early in February. So, because things have started to be firmed up already. So they'll start making announcements for vendors and instructors. I think we have some really exciting surprises coming this time. And, we had exciting surprises last time too. So we have a great lineup again this year. And if you are interested to get all of the news about the Prince Edward Island Fibre Festival, they have their own newsletter, and that you sign up for that newsletter on the Prince Edward Island Fibre Festival website. Also, people that are interested in the Fibre Trail, the Fibre Festival is going to be managing that project now. So the PEI Fibre Trail is pretty well known for to a lot of people, and it was first developed by Linda Nobles, who was from the Belfast Mini Mill. And now that the Belfast Mini Mill has closed their shop, the Prince Edward Island Fibre Festival is going to take over the curation of that project, because a lot of people come to Prince Edward Island and want to do that self-guided tour of all the fibery places that we have. And there's usually like around between 21 and 23.
It's a significant list.
Of
it goes
crafters.
From one end right to the other.
Yeah. Tip to tip, as they say here.
Yeah.
And so you can find that now, because when the Fibre Festival started, they did an online version of it, because there's a pamphlet for the PEI Fibre Trail, and the Fibre Festival was putting that on as one of the pages on their website, just to help support it. And so now it makes perfect sense that they should be looking after it, since they're doing the online. So you can check that out there too. Right now, it's still the 2023 vendors, because usually those are all finalized by April, before tourist season starts here. So right now it's the 2023 version, but the 2024 version will be coming. So I can't really say too much. It's at the Delta again. So the hotels have all given their links, because they have discounted rates for people that are attending the Fibre Festival. So if you go to the Prince Edward Island Fibre Festival website, there's the hotel partners as a section on the website, and you have links. If you click on the logos for the different hotels, you can get a preferred rate for the dates of the festival through that way. And so I guess that's about all I can say right now, until they start announcing vendors and so forth. So I can say that Fleece and Harmony is going to be a vendor.
That we know.
Yeah. So, and we know that Simone is also going to be teaching at the Fibre Festival again. So I don't know if I should say that or not, because I don't know. You finished all your organization?
All my stuff is submitted, so it's good.
Okay,
yeah.
so it's all good. Anyway, right now the Linda, who coordinates the festival, is thinking, oh my God. Anyway, I should stop talking.
Yeah. If you want to keep, I'm noticing here that you've got written, most up-to-date things would be their Instagram and Facebook. If you follow those, will that keep you pretty...
Yeah, you can follow either one. Yeah. And then the newsletter subscribers get the first info. Right. And they're not doing, the newsletter is not like, they just do it when they have something to say.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. So it's not like on a regular cycle or anything, but I think they did, I forget how many newsletters they did last year. So as it comes closer to the festival, there's more, but it's all contains information that you might want to know if you're coming to the, so anyway, book your trips. Yay, it's coming. So next we inserted a little extra segment here that, I don't know, we'll do it as we feel that we need to. And for lack of a better, we always try to come up with the kind of literal and good names and funny names or whatever. But this one, Coach's Corner is already taken.
Yeah.
Hockey.
Don Cherry's got that one.
So I just have knitting knowledge. And I don't know if we come up with something witty. Well, actually, the Harmony part actually was named by a customer.
Okay.
Or not like a viewer of the podcast. Yeah. And so if you have any ideas, once you hear what we're going to talk about in this segment, then you can send us in the comments. Send us your ideas. So we decided we wanted to talk. We get lots of questions, technical questions, and so we started chatting about this in the mill one day, the three of us, and we decided that we were going to pick two topics. And this week's topics are the two things that we felt dramatically changed our knitting, and one was allowing yourself to rip back, rip out.
Yeah, I did a lot of that when I first started. Part of it, I think it was my perfectionist attitude. And I actually started knitting thinking that you could knit a project from start to finish without having an error in it.
Yeah.
And so I was working, I think, on this hat, and I don't know how many times I ripped back those first 10 rows.
Right.
Because I'd get 10 in and I dropped a stitch. And I didn't know how to fix anything.
Right.
So the only way to fix it was rip it right back.
And the other side of that coin is the perfectionist that doesn't want to rip out, which is kind of weird, because if you're a perfectionist, you should be correcting things. Yeah. The perfectionist usually never gets anything done. So
too scared to move forward.
Too scared to move forward. Yeah. But in my case, I have to say that I'm a bit of a perfectionist in most things, but I was more that you couldn't rip back because it had to at least look perfect. Okay. Even if you made a mistake, you tried to hide it.
Okay.
Which doesn't really work very well.
You probably got better quicker at fixing your mistakes.
Well, I had to.
Where I was like, well, made a mistake, got to start again.
Yeah, because I had to, because it was driving me crazy, because I had a mistake in my knitting and I couldn't rip back to fix it. And that's the second thing that we said for all of us, helped us to get better, to be better knitters quickly. And it's learning to read your knitting. Yeah, I think that was your suggestion, right?
Which is a great phrase, but I'm maybe putting both of you on the spot here. What do we mean when we say that? Can we give like an actual example of what we mean by reading your knitting?
Yeah, sure. Do you want to tackle that first? Yeah.
I'll preface this with, there are as many different ways to knit as there are knitters.
Right.
So, we all have our own little, version of knitting. Yeah. And whenever we're looking at our knitting, there's certain ways that your stitches should be oriented on the finished knitting. Mm-hmm. And getting to know how those stitches lay, and then whenever you're doing increases and decrease, how they kind of move with the fabric, is a huge step in learning to knit proficiently.
Right.
Because the better you are at visualizing how your knitting works, the easier it will be to fix those mistakes. Then you can go through and be like, oh, okay, well, I made a mistake here. I need to rip back to here. And how do I fix that so it looks correct? Mm-hmm. Or one thing that I struggled with a lot was angling. So like my increases and decreases, like which direction they were supposed to go in.
Right.
And something that I found personally very helpful, and still do, is knitting charts. Like I'm very much a chart reader. So even if it's not color work, which is my favorite thing, if I'm going to do textured stitches, I appreciate a chart because it gives you a visual representation of what your knitting should look like. Mm-hmm. And you can see, if just at a quick glance, if you know your knitting really well, whether it matches or not, and how you can fix it from there.
Yeah, that's true. Because I'm thinking one of the first things I needed to learn, which when I think about it, I didn't even know how to recognize an individual stitch, to count my stitches. So knowing what those little V's were and which belonged to which stitch.
How do you count it?
Yeah,
exactly.
Was an important thing. Yeah. I think one of the clues or the hints I got, it might have been Andrea from Fruity Knitting, talked about taking one of your needles or a pointed object of some sort and actually poking the hole as you count. And once I did
still do that.
Yeah,
that's the way I do it.
Better off. Yeah. Trying to just do it with my big chubby finger.
Yeah.
And it was no good.
Another unpopular thing that I'm going to say here is swatching helps.
Yeah.
So not only is swatching good for figuring out your gauge, but it also will teach you to read your knitting better, because you have to go, okay, this is how many stitches across, this is how many up top. So you get used to how your knitting
looking
looks.
At your knitting. Yeah, because we don't really take time to sit and look at our knitting when we're knitting a sweater. Like in the middle of the sweater, you don't say, oh, let me actually figure out what's going on here.
I stop and admire my knitting all the time.
Yeah, exactly. So, but you have to when you do a swatch.
Yes, that's right.
And the other thing is that Ken knits, and I'm going to put him on the spot a little bit here. But he's doing a project right now where the border is seed stitch. Mm-hmm. So he has trouble reading his knitting, and seed stitch is maybe not the easiest, because you're going back and forth all the time. But when he gets stuck, he knows he made a mistake because it doesn't look, the pattern is disrupted, but he doesn't actually know what the mistake was.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and I think there's a little bit of, we talked about, so then I get handed the knitting and saying like, well, okay, what did I do wrong here? So, but that's what happens. I mean, I've had a customer come in that her elderly mother passed away at 90 and was the knitter that taught her to knit. And she was like probably in her 60s and knit all kinds of things and had a mistake and had to come to me to get. I said, well, what have you been doing? Like, you're an avid knitter. And she goes, oh, my mother always fixed it.
Yeah.
So she couldn't read her knitting.
Yeah.
And I said, well. And then she said, well, my mother passed away and I haven't knit really since she passed away. And now I want to start knitting again, but I can't. I said, okay, well, so then I'm not going to fix it for you. I'm going to show you how to read it and to fix it. And it's like the light went on. Yeah. It's true. It's so empowering.
It is.
So you're allowed to rip back.
Yes.
And
actually, we encourage it.
Yes. and learn to read your knitting.
Yes.
And, doing swatches is, I have to say, it sounds like I'm kind of on Patty Lyon's payroll, but I don't get anything for suggesting her book. But she is really really broken it down. And I think if you're somebody like I was on YouTube all the time, like what does this look like and what does that look like? But she really breaks it all down. And the first person that really I looked at that kind of explained how stitches lay and stuff like that was Lucy Neatby. Mm-hmm. So that's another really good resource. She's got lots of videos as well. And then the Patty Lyon's The Knitting Bag of Tricks book is another good, really good resource if you want to finally learn to read your knitting.
I'm just thinking too, for me, another step to advance understanding the structure of a stitch was just trying some duplicate stitch.
Right.
And learning to actually know how to follow the stitch. So you're just tracing what's already there, but it taught me the proper path of where the yarn was going.
Yeah. So you and I learned a lot about the structure of a stitch when we tried to fix the gigantic hole that Betsy cut in her sweater taking the pills off. Yeah. Not our yarn, I have to say. No. But not that there can be pills on our yarn too, but this was a particularly challenging one. Yep. And Betsy cut a hole with the scissors right in her.
Snipped it right in.
Yeah.
So then we had to figure out. Yeah. So I learned a lot that day trying to figure out where the stitches,
how to recreate them, because we actually had to recreate a gap,
a little chunk.
It wasn't that big.
It was inch by inch, maybe.
Yeah, exactly that. So anyway,
So we really learn from our mistakes.
Yes. Yeah,
absolutely.
Don't put scissors anywhere. No.
We have a tool for that. Coconuts has a fuzz off tool. To be fair, they didn't have it then.
No, they didn't. No, they saw my episode and they're like, that woman needs help.
Anyway, so that's just, I don't know, do we need to say anything else about that?
Just give yourself permission to be adventurous and to make those mistakes. You're allowed to make mistakes. And the sooner you let yourself make those mistakes and go back and play with them, the more confident you're going to be in your own knitting. So you'd be like, oh yeah, I can handle that now because I've done this before.
So, and a mistake doesn't become a 3-day layaway. No. Where you're like, I can't deal with this anymore. Yeah. You then can fix it right there and carry on what you're doing.
Or 3 months. Yeah. Like that's what would happen to me. Yeah. I'd be so devastated that I made a mistake that I would put it, and I discovered it like rows after I made it. And then I would put the thing I can, why bother finishing it now? There's a mistake in it. Now, it seems so stupid now, or silly. I shouldn't say stupid. It's so silly, but it's really common.
It can, and it really can knock your confidence in, I just can't do this. Well, you can. Yeah. You can.
Yeah. And something else, too, is we all start from the same place. Yes. So, we all start with our, cast-ons and our basic stitches and learn from there. And some of us learn with a lot more trial and error than others.
Which I think we all...
That would be me.
Well, yeah.
Because I'm left-handed and I didn't have anybody to teach me. So I learned by, making a lot of mistakes. Yeah. So people see my knitting now and they're like, oh, you don't make mistakes. It's like, oh yes, I do. Ask my husband. He sees me pull all this stuff out. It drives him crazy. Yeah.
So that's it. Those are the words of wisdom. We sound like we're not doing. We just hope that you find it helpful. Yeah. And I think it's beneficial for people to know we've all been there. Like none of us, we're all on the learning.
And we still make mistakes.
Oh yeah. Every time you try something new, you're in for another session of learning.
but learning to correct gives you the confidence to move on.
Yeah. So, okay. So now I think it's a little bit time to, or we're at the time when we should start talking about our projects. And before we do that, I asked Simone to bring in a project that was an older project that she did. So we're going to take a look at the Winterlight Cowl.
There we go. So this was made in 2021.
Yeah, and this is one of Simone's designs.
Yeah, so it's knit in our Selkirk worsted, in crowing and Scotch on the rocks, and I'm going to hold it a little closer so you can see. I put this cowl through abuse.
Yeah, it's your go-to for your walks, right?
Yeah, I wear it pretty well every day in the winter. The only time I wouldn't wear it is if it's already wet, because I've already been out in it and it has to hang up to dry. But it wears really well. It's nice and cozy and warm, and I can pull it right up to here.
I was gonna say, that's pretty much how I see it on your Instagram.
Yeah.
That cowl is just below Simone's eyes.
Yeah.
So I have a hood up, a ball cap on with my headlamp, and I have this pulled up to here so that I'm nice and cozy and warm. And it's great because it's breathable. You can breathe through the stitches. You get the odd little woolly in your mouth. But
if you're walking too hard, breathing too heavy.
But it's very breathable, and it doesn't mush your nose down or anything like that, like some of the other synthetic-y cowls out there. But it's my favorite.
Yes, it's every time I see it, and you see it a lot in the winter.
Yes.
Simone posts a picture of her walks every morning on Instagram. So it's actually a beautiful feed. So if you want to take a look at that, you can as well. But I saw this and I was like, oh, it's just every time I see it in the picture, I think that's a nice. It's a really a really nice combination. So I just asked her to bring it in, and it's kind of. The feeling of it right now is not it's not felted because the stitches are all individual, but it's almost like it's has like a little bit of fulling happen to it. Yeah,
definitely.
A little bit of what?
Fulling.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you want to ask a question about that, Betsy?
I do.
It does.
What
it does
is
get a little bit
fulling?
confused.
I want to ask a question, boy. Fulling is fulling taken to the hardcore end is what they're doing when you see women beating the cloth, like when they're making.
But they used to use urine?
No.
That was indigo dye.
Indigo dye. But when you see they're called milling songs that the Scottish women, it's a Scot or a UK tradition, and they take knitted cloth or woven cloth.
Yeah, usually woven.
Well, usually woven. Yeah. But then they musk it around a bit on the table, and there's a rhythm that they do.
And what are they hoping to do?
It kind of is a light felting.
Yeah, so it tightens up the fibers and it gives it a little bit more structure.
So it just fills in any little gaps.
It's not true felting because it's not like a solid fabric, but it just gives those little fibers a little chance to roll.
Them fluffy.
And then you get this kind of you can feel it. Yeah. It's like a springy
kind of.
Yes.
Bouncy.
It's almost like that's what that is. What it is. It's like it's foldable.
It's hard to describe.
Yeah, it's hard to describe.
Whooshy.
Yeah.
Nice.
And it's funny because that entire pattern was because I saw Scotch on the Rocks in the newsletter, and I thought,
is that right?
Exactly what I want to make with that.
Nice. That was before you were working here.
Yeah. So I came in and I'm like, I need Scotch on the Rocks, please. And it wasn't even in the shop yet, so get out back and got me some.
Perfect.
And you see what happens is when you're fulling, it has a little bit. So this part is actually it's the ribbing, but also right under the ribbing where there's less wear, it's really stretchy. Yeah, but right here in the middle, where she'd be breathing on it every day or whatever, it's a little denser.
Okay.
Yeah. So anyway, I asked her to bring that in because every time I see it, I like it. So all right. So now we're to the new projects.
Yes. All right.
So we're gonna start with Simone's the cutest project. So cute. It's so cute. It's so cute. So it's a knitting with olive pattern.
Yes. There we go. And I made 2 of them.
Oh, okay. I hadn't seen the second one yet.
I just want to put it on a little head.
The baby bear hat.
Yeah, the baby bear bonnet.
The bonnet.
And look at the little ears. Like, are they not cute or what?
So adorable.
So I have a friend that recently had twin girls, and I wanted to make something special for the babies and could not resist this pattern. Betsy thinks I should make one for me.
I do. I think she should make adult size because for some reason I don't know. But when if you're making it for yourself, it won't be bear. It'll be cat.
Yes.
Simone gives off cat vibes in the best way, not catty vibes. Cat vibes.
Right.
It's different.
It's so cute. It is so cute. Yeah.
So adorable.
I can't believe how fast these knit up, and they're just really, really fun. It's kind of a modular piece, so you just kind of knit and the short rows in the back brings everything together.
Oh, is that what that is?
Would that be like, if you want to learn short rows, would this be a good practice? Because you'd be doing lots in a short amount of time?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you want kind of a adventurous beginner project, this is definitely it, because you do some German short rows in it, and there's some like double short rows. So just to increase.
Do they give the instructions of how to do them?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. The instructions are really clear.
Okay.
So it's an easy to follow pattern, and the pattern comes graded for, I don't know how many sizes. There's quite a few. I knit the 3-month size, so these are each 3-month size.
And there's some
So
stretch
cute.
to that, so that'll go for a ways too.
Yeah.
So cute.
And the yarns that I used were Diva's Desire and Harefoot Clover and
Shadow
and the Kitzel K's.
Yeah.
I'm glad you remember the Kitzel K's names. And the hot pink is our wild raspberry, and magenta in the Kitzel K's. Yeah.
Nice.
That is a close match too.
Yeah.
Very
really
nice.
nice.
Yeah.
So that inspired us. So to choose colors that we like of different combinations of what you could do as well with different colors.
Yep.
And we chose some different yarns as well, because these are made with Diva's Desire, which is great, but also Rowan Felted Tweed would be a good use with the Rowan Kitzel K's and our Wild Winds as well. They're all kind of the same weight.
Yeah.
So I, of course, chose two that everybody's going to go, okay, right. So I'm going to show mine first. So the first one is the Rowan Berry with Kitzel K's in Romance. So Romance is actually a color that's not available anymore, but I still have a little bit, but it goes perfectly with the Rowan Berry. Like it's a match one. And it's so that's kind of a warmer red.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you have like the hot pink with the raspberry, and then you have the Rowan Berry, which is like I didn't know that the Rowan Berry was the motif because I don't know in advance for the blanket, but here we are again with Rowan Berries. And the other one that I liked, which kind of cools down the Romance a little bit, so cool meaning cooler, is with this is Rage. In Felted Tweed, called the color 150 with the Romance as well.
Yeah.
So that'll mute the red a little bit in the Felted Tweed. So those were my two favorites.
Nice.
Red, no big surprise
You'll
there.
have to help me with the Rowan names for mine.
Yeah.
Because I don't have those memorized.
Yeah.
But I've got so this is the Wild Winds 2-ply in the A Night Without Stars, paired with
Bluebird.
But of course.
Yes.
Very nice. So again, it'll lighten the dark a little bit. They'll kind of meet halfway in the middle. So you'll have just a beautiful soft blue there.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And then, of course, because you just brights, why not? So we've got Pineapple Weed on Diva's Desire combined with
Jelly.
Jelly. Okay.
Yeah. Sorry, Eve Green.
Okay.
Which is also doesn't really, it's a greeny yellow.
Greeny yellow. Yeah.
It goes with either one. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure that's Eve Green. I think so.
Double check it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So again, this one's a little bit brighter. This one's a little more muted. So they'll just kind of come together with a nice greeny yellow.
Yeah. And I'm just going to say the number. I'm
just in case.
99.8% sure that I have it right. And it's color shade 684. And I'm pretty sure it's Eve Green.
And thank you, Kim, for reading that.
Betsy discovered yesterday that she might need to get
No.
glasses.
I'm positive that Rowan is printing those numbers smaller than they did a couple years ago. I am positive. Same with Chiagu on the needles.
Yeah.
We definitely shrunk the text.
You know, there's a trick for that.
Your
If
phone-
you take your phone and then
Yeah.
expand
No!
it. Yes.
Yes.
So basically get magnifying glasses is what you're telling me, Simone?
Well, or you could just use
Use
your
your
phone.
phone. Is she still in the denial stage? I don't know if you've hit you don't wear glasses. So I explained to Betsy
Yeah.
that around when you're in your 40s, you start to suspect that something's happening, but you don't want to admit it. So you're in denial, and that stage lasts until you finally go by the rack at the grocery store and say, I'm just going to get those little magnifiers because that's just, yeah,
you know.
I don't really need them. But look at how
purse.
cute they make the frames now. So you do that, and then after a year and a half of now getting in panic when you can't find your magnifiers, or even worse, being like your grandparents when you have like six pairs
Stuck on your head. and you
stuck
don't
on
notice
your
they're
head,
there.
or 6 pairs of these magnifiers laying down because you can't stand the stress anymore when you can't find it. You finally go to the optician
Get some
and
glasses.
say, I think I need to get glasses.
Anyway. I still say it's Rowan.
Yeah. So still in the denial state. Okay. And Simone has, you have another color choice too, besides, yes.
Got a mess on my table here.
Yeah.
So
Ooh.
this is Rowan Felted Tweed
Rose
in
quartz.
206 Rose Quartz. And the Kids OKs.
Nectar.
687.
Kim's wearing
yes,
it.
Yes.
Nectar.
Yeah.
Oh, it's almost that combination on your sleeve there.
Sort of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah.
So this is just going to add a little bit of lightness
Mhm.
to the Kids OKs. And you also have those fun pops of color.
Yeah.
And then, because these are definitely my colors, we have Vetch and Diva's Desire paired with
Black currant.
Black Currant.
You
Yes.
pull black current out for a lot of
I
things.
love
Oh,
Black
I know.
Yeah, I
Currant.
can say
I
that's
know.
a Simone's
Yeah.
favorite.
Which is actually kind of funny because you usually go for like the warm, but I've now had to adjust my ordering from Rowan because I was like, okay, so Simone likes drab, which is like a khaki green color,
Yeah.
and she likes black currant.
Yeah.
And she-
Getting a little more hype on the colors
Yeah,
that didn't
there
go
you
as
go.
much.
So,
yeah.
I like them
great.
a lot. They're cute.
yeah.
And I mean, they'd make adorable
Yeah.
hats.
And you said that you have enough if you have one skein of the Diva's Desire or the Wild Winds or the Felted Tweed and one skein of the Kid Silkays, you can make more than one hat, you
yeah,
think?
with the 3-month size, you could easily make 2.
Okay.
Yeah.
No yarn chicken involved.
No.
Okay.
Nice.
All right. So anyway, that's just a cute little project that and this is now, well, I think you said it's for your friend that you made the baby surprise jacket for.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now, because it's twins, she has to make another baby surprise jacket too. So that's right. I think that's up next, is it? No?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
I need to do that because otherwise the babies are going to be big enough that they don't need that baby
and they won't be able
surprise
to wear it at
jacket.
the same
Yeah.
time. Yeah.
Yeah.
The surprise will be it doesn't fit.
Yeah, exactly. I don't want to be one of those knitters.
Yeah. All right. So then the next project we're going to look at is Betsy's progress on her Norwegian sweater.
So I am excited to say somehow I put this second sleeve on like just a day or two ago, and for some reason it just flew off the needles.
Oh, wow.
So I'm very close to having it done as well. So I just have, my increasing was happening a little faster or slower, one way or the other than it was supposed to. So I had to adjust for that.
Okay.
So I've made it through what I'm calling the first section of decreases, which happened every 6 rows. Now I need to, not decrease, increase every 4 rows.
Okay.
And that went even faster. So
okay. Oh,
I'm
so it
almost-
really is going like
it
that
really
then.
is.
Because that's a bit
Yeah.
unusual, because at the
is.
top you usually are finished your decreases.
yeah, I know.
Interesting.
And you would like
Or
knit
increases,
for,
I should
you
say.
would knit for a while. But
Yeah.
I only have like 1 or 2 rows extra.
Oh,
But
okay.
I was trying it on, and I think like it's great.
Nice.
I'm putting it
Yeah.
over top of this sweater, no problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's
Because
good.
you want an outdoor
Yes,
sweater.
exactly.
Yes.
I want it to go over top of things. So next time we chat, it'll be all about how I figured out how to put this on
Right.
the body and start the yoke.
Yes,
Which I think I'll have to come to Kim for some coaching for, because my pattern's in Norwegian and it's pretty minimalistic.
But
So-
it's a typical Norwegian construction,
Yes.
or Northern European constructions, which
yeah.
I've done with the Maya from
Christian
Nordic
Dress.
Knitting.
Yeah.
And I think it was also, no, it wasn't the same in
I also
Davies,
own
but
the Wilderness Knits book, and I
Right.
was looking in there, and I think she also does that same
probably
construction.
Yeah, and
So,
I'm doing
yeah.
it with my Treit.
Perfect.
So is it
yeah.
join and then work the yoke, or
Yes.
do you work the yoke and then sew the yarns
No,
in?
they're
No.
not inset. They
Okay.
are actually like part of
Yeah.
the yoke.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, because the shoulders have yoke going right.
So you've got
across.
your waist yarn on your body, and
Mhm.
you've got waist yarn on the sleeves,
Yeah.
and then you have to put that circumference on the needle and kind of go. And it gets
The
a little
first
bit tight.
couple rounds
Okay.
are a little bit
Yeah.
Okay.
annoying, but once you get past those,
Yeah, you had recommended going up a needle size. for
Yeah,
those
I
first
think
few
yeah, but now
rows.
I'm about to approach that on my Treit, and I don't know if I really thought through what I should do or not.
Okay.
So I'm just gonna see what happens,
happens.
because it does. If you use a bigger needle, then it's going to be even tighter, and if you use a smaller needle, you're going to have a tighter line.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I don't know.
Just gonna
Now
have to.
we're just going to have to
I
find
think
out.
your Treit will show it more. I think I'll be able to get away with hiding if there is a bit of a tension difference. That'll hide, because this is not a really smooth
Right.
yarn.
Right.
Although you have the haze, so that
Yeah.
hopefully
Yeah.
we'll both be fine.
Okay, so
Yeah.
I may as well show my
Sure.
Treit now. I don't know if that's in the order of the thing that I said. I just don't want to miss anything. Oh yeah, okay. So it's a good if we can change. Okay, so I put down the gauntlet on the last title that I did for the last. Did you laugh at it? No, Sleeve Island here.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So now
yeah.
I don't dare stop knitting. So this is anyway. So I'm almost finished. I have actually just 2.5 inches left on this, but it looks a little bit short.
Well, last
so I
time
think
you
I'm
only
gonna,
had the cuff, right?
Yeah,
Oh yeah,
okay.
you've motored a lot.
yeah. So I am going to. I'm just on the straight stockinette. My increases are already done.
and they're so
So
neat and tidy.
And I'll just point it out, because we're showing hers. I totally messed up how you do the increases. So see how hers just is kind of coming
you'll have
up,
to take a picture.
coming
Okay.
up the center here. I accidentally was increasing, so all of my increases happened out here. So I have this bit of a V formation that's going up here, but I don't think it's going to matter. Yeah, see, by the fact that you're even saying, what do you mean? There's no way the camera will pick it up. But so
Yeah.
your increases happened here along
Yeah.
the center. Mine went here.
Oh, but that's okay too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just, I realized after I got partway through, I was like, I don't think that's how you're supposed to
Well,
do that.
the trick is to whatever you do, just keep doing it.
For the second sleeve. That's what I figured.
Yeah. And as long as it's a pattern that's not disrupted.
Yeah.
Like if you panic and then say, "Oh no, I better start doing that," then you actually
Which I had a
will be-
moment, and I almost did when I was about 4 inches in, and I was like, no, just stay with what you're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the thing, I actually read the pattern wrong.
Oh.
The pattern is actually correct, but I was one of those things. Oh, just forget about it.
Okay.
It's one of those things where you think you know what you read, but you didn't really know what you read. So this has she counts the increases as a row.
Yeah.
You do 2 rows, do the increase and then knit a row, or was it knit a row and do the increase, and then knit 5 more rows.
Right.
But I did the next increase on the 5th row instead.
Oh,
yeah.
So I ended up with the increases that were going faster.
Okay.
And so I had this little it looks a little bit more like a little balloony. It opens up faster.
Okay.
But that's okay with me. I was, in fact, I toyed with it because after your what was the name of the carding? The sycamore carding.
Yeah.
Not to make a balloon like that, but I thought I might just do all the increases
I
right
was
up
going to
there.
say, although, so my daughter wears that to high school, and she actually got herself into a bit of trouble in her chemistry class.
Oh,
yeah.
With her balloon sleeves, in that she knocked some things over the one day, and so her lab partner was like, "Oh, just stop. I'll just do it. That sweater keeps bumping everything up." So I was like, oh, okay, maybe don't wear that on Science Day.
Yeah, right. So I actually considered, because you go from the cuff is quite tight, so I think it's like 60 stitches or something like that. So you go from 60 to 78.
Okay.
And I thought, well, if I just did all the increases like along the bottom or whatever, then I would have this kind of cool balloon thing. But I just decided to stick to. But now I've got a little bit more blousy than what the pattern should be.
Right.
But I just have to do the same thing on the other.
Yeah.
When I knit my Treit sweater, it was actually just a pattern for the short sleeve version. So I constructed my own long sleeves.
Oh, okay. Because now they have the long sleeves in there.
It was a couple months later that she re-released the pattern, and she had the full length sleeves.
Right.
So
right.
yeah, it was a good brain exercise.
Yeah, exactly. So here's the so the yarn is Northumberland blue point prim sock yarn held with Heavenly Kid Silkays. And so what Betsy was talking about her sweater. So here's the body. It's a cropped sweater on the pattern, but I am doing it longer. So instead of 10.5, I think it was like 10.5 inches or something. Here I've done 15. And for the sleeves, like I said, I had 2.5 more inches to go, but I'm going to put a couple extra inches on the sleeve as well, because our yarn does go up when it's blocked. And also, I don't want the sleeves to be, I want to have a little bit of extra length on the sleeve, because this kind of looks kind of short to me.
So you'll just keep going for a bit further, you mean?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm just going to knit straight for a bit.
Once you've got your increases. Yeah.
Yep. And then I have to do the second sleeve, but the sleeve is pretty fast.
Yeah,
So.
when you've done a whole body, sleeves suddenly feel very quick.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Okay.
Sometimes.
Especially
And
when...
I'll talk about that with my sleeve.
Oh, okay. There can't be any sleeve island.
No,
Okay.
there's not.
No? Okay. All right, so that's...
Maybe just a sleeve marsh. Just waiting.
rough
A
water.
sleeve archipelago.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm just going to put this down. Okay, so we have the balls of yarn sorted out, and we're back. So Simone, are you going to have this done for the...
I don't know if I'll have it done by the end, but I think that's forgivable because, I've already finished a project.
Yes,
did.
yeah, you
She
did.
did.
That's
Yeah.
right. Okay, so Simone's knitting Chestnut by Marie Wallin.
Yes.
And you've been fascinated by this.
I am knitting it in the round instead of flat.
Right.
So I'm breaking the rules there, but that's okay. This is the exception to sleeves being fast, because with the little circumference, I found, since I have to change color so often, it's slow. But the further I go up, the faster it gets, because it's a little bit longer, and I don't have to change colors as often.
Right.
And I'm also
I think this
cheating
might
a little
just
bit
be a
and
perception
turning it
thing.
up the back. Yeah. And I think that is it, right?
Yeah.
Because I'm just like, I have to get myself in the right headspace for changing the colors more frequently.
Okay.
And it's messy because I have like 9 balls of yarn all over the place, and help.
Yes.
Help.
Yeah, with her cat she's talking about.
Yeah.
Because, heaven forbid he not be involved with my knitting. Like,
Right.
he's obsessed.
Right. It's amazing. But Em is very picky. She only likes the mohair.
Yeah, she likes to
So I'm almost down to the part where she had unwound. So you can remember, if you saw this the last episode, this was like almost a full ball of kid silkays.
Yeah.
So that's how much I'm still on my hand winding phase when the cat grabbed it. So
this is actually the second
I
sleeve.
was going to say, I think you're on your second. Yeah.
And I am making really good progress.
Yeah.
Even though I whine a little bit.
yeah,
Yeah, I am making good progress. So,
it's beautiful.
May I touch it? I don't think I've touched this one yet. Because
It's
this
really
is
nice.
This is
the
the
Marie
called for
Wallin
yarn.
called for yarn.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's really nice.
Yeah. Has some real nice push to it.
yeah.
And
And
the colors are
it's a little
lovely.
silky too.
Yeah. There's
Yeah,
a
I
bit
think
of
it's a...
my really dry hands are catching on it.
But I have to say, I'm very much looking forward to actually wearing the sweater.
I think it's going to be gorgeous on you.
Yeah.
These are perfect colors for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Beautiful.
I chose the colors that she used in the Wildwoods book.
Right.
Because she really... re-released the pattern in Cherish, but she used updated colors,
Right.
which was more Kim colors.
Yes, we say much more
pink
purple.
and purple
Yeah,
and
yeah.
things like that. And I'm more of the browns. So I went with the original and I'm very happy with it.
I think it just looks like
It's
a
gorgeous.
beautiful forest or like
Yeah.
early spring meadow. It's gorgeous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
And I'm getting to the point now, because I've knit these pattern repeats so often, that it's easier to just, knit it.
Glance.
And I also had a brainwave with the sleeve increases. What I did is, because she shows you on the chart where the increases start, but then tells you just to continue along.
Okay.
I get a little bit lost whenever I'm switching from motif to motif. So I just went with a red marker and did the little stair steps up so
Okay.
that it's easier to follow at a glance.
Right.
So you can
Yeah.
see.
Okay.
And I know when I'm increasing it proper.
That's another
Nice.
little hint. Don't be afraid to write on your patterns.
Yes.
Make your own notations. Write on your patterns.
I'm not writing on the pattern in the book, because she gives you the option of receiving a PDF as well whenever you buy the books. So I printed the pattern out, and that way I can scribble on it, I can write notes, and I don't have to worry about ruining my book.
Right.
Yeah.
I decided to let myself actually write in my books because the chances of me knitting the same thing twice is pretty slim. Because Simone's faster and you find some things you really like. So you've actually done some repeat patterns, haven't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Where it's kind of like books. I just don't really repeat.
Yeah. Okay. So next, this is the one I don't know if she's made a lot of progress on it or not, but this is when I'm looking at the orbits.
I got excited because when we were talking about it in the podcast last time, I hadn't ever seen the pattern. And then I went home and I watched the podcast and I was like, oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm making some progress.
Yeah.
It's a little
Yes, you
curly.
are.
Yeah.
But yeah. I'm
And
on
is
to the
that
second
going to
part.
have a bit of a wider neck to it than some?
Yeah, I wondered that
yeah,
too.
I was wondering.
Not as wide as my
So not boat neck wide.
Lunenburg, because I think the Lunenburg, I made it a little too wide.
Okay.
This I just went with what she had written for the pattern, and it's Kim's favorite, twisted rib.
Yeah.
But I did the folded collar because I like that stability.
Yeah.
Was hers not a folded originally?
She gives you the option
Okay.
of just straight up rib or the folded. Yeah,
So this yarn has a really different feel to it, doesn't
it does. It's really bouncy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it feels really different.
Yeah,
I don't know how to describe it.
yeah.
It feels like there's stretchy or
Yeah.
yeah,
Like
there's a lot
you can
of
actually feel it. Like there's bounce.
when you're
But yet it feels it's hard to describe. It feels bouncy but solid at the same time.
Yeah.
It's like highly twisted, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
and
Yeah.
it's 100% wool, is it?
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah. It has so it'll be interesting to see how this is when it's been washed and blocked.
Yeah.
It is 100% Portuguese wool.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's
It's a very round, fairly highly twisted.
Retrosaria Mondim.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, this is going to be
So I'm curious to see how it all goes.
right.
And I am looking forward to wearing this one too.
Mm-hmm. Well,
Yeah.
you wear all your sweaters.
Yes.
Simone's the best
Maybe
knitwear
we
wearer.
should mention then. What is she wearing now?
Oh yes.
Oh boy. I can't pronounce the name of this.
We'll put it in the. We'll put
Yeah,
it.
it's a pullover pattern by Heather Nolan. She's based in Newfoundland. And I don't quote me on it, but I believe the name means winter in Irish.
Okay.
So
okay.
I think it's Gimri. But
Okay.
if I butchered that, I'm
Well,
really
we'll
sorry.
put a title under, and
Yeah.
I'm wearing Madeline by Galena Carroll in Kid Silk Haze, in Nectar, and not Branch, Bark, and this, and
And I have Sidsel Hoyevic's Sun and Sedestal, which actually, I don't know if either of you ran across it. This week, I saw on Instagram, she's released it again, but she's reversed it. So the sleeves are all in the lice pattern, and the motif actually comes all the way up.
Yeah.
And then she took the flowers from the bottom, and they go across the top.
Oh,
So if ever I was tempted to do a reknit, I think there might be just enough change
Yeah.
that I would be interested in doing it.
right.
But I will not do it in this yellow.
Yeah. But you like this yellow.
I love this yellow, but I don't feel my best me when wearing
So
yellow.
I know that that's true for some of the other projects that you've done with this, but for some reason you get away with it with this.
There's must just be this perfect shade of
yes,
I don't
and
know.
you have the pink around the neck. So I think it just breaks it up enough because it is true. You've had a few color disappointments on things, and I have to say I agreed with you when you said it's not the best color on. But this, I don't get that feeling.
But you also told me, I think, that your kit that you got, she put together for you, has one of these pinks as the main
I have to open it up and look at it.
Because that intrigues me.
Yeah. That pink.
This
is very Betsy pink.
I think this...
It's like a
magenta almost.
Yeah,
It's hard to twist it.
Yeah. So I can see you doing the sweater in the new version in that color.
I think it's actually called cerise.
Oh, okay.
Cool. Yeah.
Okay. Cherry.
Yes. It is cerise.
Okay. So, yes. So, by Sidsel Hoivet.
Yeah.
Yes. All right. And what's next do we have? Okay. So, we're on spinning.
Yes.
Okay, so I plowed.
She just plowed through.
I plowed
Actually,
through
you did. You were fast.
Yeah. So I don't know what to say. So I asked Simone for some help. So here's my skein. It looks a little bit gnarly because I didn't have Betsy to twist it. But I'm not super happy. But it's the first kind of fine skein that I did, and we were trying to figure out if I've spun it too tight or if I plied it too tight or too loose or whatever. So this is a braid that I had from Sweet Georgia, which is BFL and silk, and so it's very soft and silky.
Yeah.
It has a funny smell to it. It doesn't smell like our yarn, obviously, but I think I don't know if it's the silk or the wool. And I used eucalyptus to put it. I like the smell.
Yeah, it smells like wool.
Yeah, it smells like wool.
But I mean, our Wheatley River stuff smells totally different than our Wild Winds.
Because it comes from a different flock of sheep.
And it's funny because it's like you open the bag, it's like,
you know,
it's a Wild Winds day.
Yeah. Anyway, so like I said,
it's a good smell.
I like it. Yeah, it is a good. It's very, and I've been sniffing it a lot because
welcome to the yarn sniffing segment.
Yeah,
you know what? We're not weird because there's so many other knitters and spinners out there. They're like, I like the smell of this.
It's kind of like the. Oh yes, that's Wild Winds from the pastures of Wild Winds.
We're sensing the
Are you
bouquet.
a wool sommelier now?
Yeah, it just has that. You can smell the fresh air. Anyway, so this is it, which will go in a night shift shawl,
and it's
but
going
it's
to be
very
beautiful,
fine.
and you
it's
can,
very fine.
like with your blonde hair and your little pink
and
in
then
your cheeks.
my other blue purple one that I have, and then my new. I didn't bring out my new.
I was just going to say you didn't take out your new one.
Well, I didn't take out my new ones, and before we started recording, Simone and I had a little tutorial on the spinning wheel because I'm going to try to spin a different way to correct. So as I said to the girls before we sat down, is I feel like in this skein there are moments of greatness, and then there's also moments of
learning,
deep despair.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's pretty balanced. Not bad.
Yeah,
so it's not bad. So it's at least it's a kind of balanced, but it's all over the place.
And I think its true character won't come through until you've knit it.
Yeah,
that's when it'll tell you.
I was telling Betsy the other day is that of course when you're plying, you're working from the latest work that you did down to when you first started, and I said, oh boy, I was on a journey. Yeah, because you can see the path of my learning all the way down to the end. Unfortunately, you're left with what you started with. But in some at one point, the middle part was actually better.
Yeah.
So in the finished yarn, the spinning was not as even. Yep. But the twist or whatever I did with the twist. So now I have to figure out exactly what I did, which is part of the. Analyzing and learning and seeing.
I feel like, not that I've tried spinning in any way, but I'm imagining that if you really wanted consistent spinning, you'd almost have to take like I don't know, 5-10 minutes before you're spinning every day and try and put yourself in the same mindset that you were in the day before.
Yeah.
Like,
because some days I'm spinning after work, and some days I'm going, and then other days I'm like, yeah. So I think you're probably right about that.
You gotta take some time to.
And really, I think the way to really improve is that you have to be kind of analytical about it and count how many treadles you're doing. But honestly, I know that's what I should do. Yep. But I'm not gonna do it.
Not everybody does
or
it.
just do so much and become intuitive.
Yeah.
That's way more my
that's where I
approach to
am.
things.
And there's lots of people out there that are really, really technical spinners.
Yeah.
I'm not one of them, even though I tend to be more of a technical knitter.
Yeah.
I'm very intuitive whenever it comes to spinning. Yeah. And I just kind of like, I do what the wool feels. You know, what it feels like. So it's just one of those things, you know, some people are more precise, and
which is
I tend
true.
to just,
because I've asked you questions before. Do you do this before? Do you think about that? And you're like,
sometimes.
Nor I just like go for it.
Yeah.
And I'm not exactly the best person to ask.
I think that the project that I want to do with this, even though the yarn is not even the right weight, is going to be very forgiving about that anyway, because you've got all those. It's mosaic, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
and
you
did you
got
say
all
with
those
that
color changes.
project?
Yeah, the Night Shift Shawl by Andrea Mowry.
You can use any weight of yarn really with that project.
Yeah.
Because you can make it as big or as small as you want. And, you know, as long as you use a needle size that works well for your yarn.
Yeah. So I'm thinking that my needle size is going to be pretty small.
That's okay.
It's going to take forever, because this is actually 102 grams, 420 yards and 102 grams. So it's fingering. Yeah, fine finger. It's finer than our sock yarn. So anyway,
and
so
it's
that's 2-ply. Yeah, exactly. Okay. So now I have a blue one. I have this pinky purple, and then the next one is I don't know. I haven't decided which one I'm going to use, but you'll see it on
the blue.
The blue.
It's got cashmere in it, and it's really soft.
Yeah, a blue in it, grapey purple.
Yep.
Yeah. So I didn't bring it here today, but I'll start get that on my spinning wheel.
Yep.
Okay. And what do you have?
I have some spinning too.
Okay.
So I finished up the braid that I had been working on.
Love it. Wow, that really turned out different than what I thought.
Yeah, that was a fun one. So again, it's a fractal because I can't help myself.
I don't know. It's like Arabian Nights or something.
Yeah. So what I'm surprised about is that this looked very juicy in the braid in the bat while you were spinning it.
Yeah.
When it was on the bobbin, it looked like it was going to be more soft and muted. And then I was sure, because this looked much brighter in the braid, but ended up being very soft and muted after I did the plying. I thought that this was even going to be more muddled. But it's not.
I thought it was going to have more of this plummy brown when it was on the spindle, but it's this bright purple has just exploded out, and the lime green pops.
This is a fun one too, because it was merino and tussa silk and flax.
Right.
So there's a little bit of plant fiber in, and that gave it a really neat texture.
Mm-hmm.
I can't wait to start knitting.
What are you going to make out of it?
I think I'm going to make the traveler shawl, because I have another 6-ounce braid that I started to spin in a different colorway. It's more of the green in here, and I think that will make a fun.
Okay. And how much is this?
That is 6 ounces, and I haven't measured it yet.
Okay.
Is the traveler? Does she do that one in? What is that?
Spin cycle?
No, the name of the stitch that she does everything in lately. The type of my goodness,
it's like a
brioche. Yeah, I was going to say a bread. It's a bread of something.
No,
it's not in brioche.
No, because she has a traveler sweater, a traveler shawl, and then the traveler cowl, and
we're talking about Andrea Mowry.
Yes,
sorry.
Okay. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, so it's just knit and purl.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, with an I-cord type edging, and I applied knit on while you go.
So it must just be the way her hands spin, kind of, because it looks like it has kind of those brioche stripes in it, but it doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. So it
Fun.
should
I'll be
fun.
excited to see how
Okay.
it comes out.
And I have one other spinning project that I'm working on, and I've made a little progress. So my bat that I picked up at the Fibre Festival, I finished the first half, and I started on the second.
Okay.
So this
So,
one's more
beauties.
beauties.
Yeah. I got this one from Sue Smith, the Paisley Defender, and I'm having great fun.
Good.
Yeah. So it's a 50-gram bat. So it's probably just going to be two spindles, and then I'm going to have to ply on the spindles again because I need practice. So it's always a learning opportunity.
Yeah.
As Kim says, every day's a school day.
Yeah. So, and we have made a couple spinning bats.
We have.
So, it's going to be a little bit difficult to, to sell them because Simone was creating on the Carter and created these 4 bats that we have.
One of a kind.
Yeah, they're one of a kind. So we're going to take a picture of it, and it's a mix of our wools.
Yep.
And the colors she chose the colorways that are going to happen. So we'll take a picture of them. And if you're interested in one of them, I'll put a description underneath. Just take note of the description, and you can send us an email, and then we can tell you how you can purchase it.
Yeah.
So we're just going to take pictures of them and show them.
Yeah.
And with a little description under.
And I will also say that for algae information, there may be mohair and Angora bunny in these bats. So if you're sensitive to either one of those, it's probably not for you. Just on the off chance that, there is some, because I know 2 of them definitely have both Angora bunny and
they're
mohair.
mostly wool, but we had ends of things that we had
just
dyed
using
up.
all
So
those bits and pieces and making something fun.
Yeah. Exactly. And would you say, because the length of it's not the longest?
No, it tends to be on the shorter end.
And the shorter
so
side, yeah.
if you want to really experiment with your long draw, this would be the perfect fiber.
Oh,
for
is that right?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Good. Simone spun up a little just to get a feel for how it's going to feel because it's a mix of things.
Yeah.
And like I said, I'm probably showing pictures behind us or in front of us now, and just take it. We'll name them. There are different sizes.
Yes.
And
they're all around like 170 grams.
Yeah. So then you can send us an email. All right. So finally, the last segment we're going to do is in the shop. So do we have, before we get to what the main function is or the main subject is, we don't have it. We've done everything, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So it's the Rowan launch. So Rowan is launching spring as of yesterday, actually.
Which means
February
it's coming.
It's coming, Betsy. It's coming. So we are waiting for the order to come in. So it should be here. It should be here pretty promptly. I'm going to miss the actual first day of the launch, and this is actually the right time to start your summer knitting.
Yeah, and
But
it's
we've been
ironic
talking
because
about
it's
this for a couple
Groundhog
months.
Day when this airs.
Comes out.
So
Exactly.
if you're trying to beat the winter blues,
Yes.
get your spring knit on.
Yes. I think what I'll do here is I'm going to show a little bit of a selection, kind of an overview of the launch and the patterns that are coming up. And then in subsequent podcasts, we'll do a little bit more of a deep dive, but just to give you a feeling for what Rowan is doing this season. So it's just, and the magazine will be here. So magazine 75. And then there's other books like, I actually forget there's Rain Coast, I think it's called. And anyway, I'll show, there's a couple different stories that are really great. And there's some crochet there's in the selection as well. And they're actually, again, doing some top down sweaters and projects as well. So we'll just do quite a quick overview, and everything will be up in the web store or the online shop if you want to take a closer look at anything that's there. out to the harmony part, and Betsy just told me, because it doesn't happen in all of the views, but I just want to, so you may or may not have seen it, but sometimes YouTube puts in inserts ads where I never intended to be there an ad. That is actually why I go in and try to manage it. And I heard from Betsy that in some viewers may have had an ad in the middle of the harmony part, which is completely contrary to what the whole idea is of the harmony part. So that wasn't intended, for sure. So the harmony part is for you to sit back and relax and enjoy some beautiful music and scenes around from the farm, usually, or around us here close by to where the farm is. And this week we are going to look at a series of photographs that Ken has taken over time of the moon that we can always see when there's a full moon. It starts off right in the back of our house, and he often takes pictures of the moon, and we're going to take a look at that. Have to try to find some kind of moony music to go behind it.
Moonlit Sonata.
I was going to say.
Yeah,
I was just going to say
exactly. A little too literal for me, but if you're in a minute, if you're listening to Moonlight Sonata, you know that I ran out of inspiration. So, anyway, we'll see what will come. So thank you for watching us. If you made it to the end, congratulations. It's a long one. And we wish you happiness and joy with all your crafting in the next 2 weeks. And if you're watching our book, Harmony Reads, our book review, then we'll see you next week. Bye.